My story is called Adventures on Waiheke. Maybe there could be like a blurry effect on the camera and the title, and in the background could be like plants and stuff. Maybe you can make a movie about a girl who has like a really boring life. She would have the same routine every day. Wake up, eat breakfast, go to school, and come back home. Then one day, she went to her uncle's house for a holiday. The rest of her family went on a business trip to Fiji. And the address that her parents gave her was wrong, so she looked through and she found a house high in the trees. Her uncle said that they were going on an adventure. "Where are we going?" asked May. "That's a surprise," said her Uncle Fred. So they rode in his minivan, and hours later they came to a stop at a port for boats. There was a great line of boats, blue boats, yellow boats, and pink boats. They saw a boat taxi driver, and they went up to him and asked him for a ride. "Sure," he said. "Where should we take you?" Uncle Fred whispered something in the taxi driver's ear, and he said, "Sure, hop in." After a few hours of being in the boat, they arrived at a small island. The birds squawked, and there were dolphins swimming in the ocean. If you guys actually make the film, you could just have people dressed up in onesies that look like the animals. It was a beautiful sunny day. Later, they went on to the island, and after walking through the dense, humid jungle, her uncle said he was going to the bathroom, so she wandered around for a little while, and she got carried away and walked and walked and walked until she came to a stop. "Where am I?" she asked. She was confused but happy at the same time. After hours and hours of adventuring, she saw many great things. She went to beautiful waterfalls, she went to a volcano, and she also went to a vineyard, and even though she was really young, they sampled some wine and cheese. As the day passed, she found her magical surroundings fading away, and she felt herself floating in the air, and then everything went black, and then she was back with her uncle. The meaning of my story is that you can use your imagination to go anywhere you want. The end.
It could be like a normal town where it's going to be like a big fountain, a big stone fountain. Well, a little girl might wear like a little pink dress and a little blue headband or something. There's going to be a little girl just wandering around town with like a biscuit. Well, it could be like one of those chocolate chip ones maybe, or those rather large ones. Yeah, about that big. Well, that's where it all starts. I'm just gonna call it biscuit competing for now. So there's gonna be like a street drummer, like in the beginning, and she's gonna go, because she doesn't have any cash to put into like his bucket. And then instantly another person comes along, "Oh my god, biscuit, I want it!" One's wearing a blue fez, one's wearing a red fez, one's wearing red shoes, the other one's wearing blue shoes, one wearing a blue t-shirt, the other wearing a red t-shirt. Then they start competing for whoever gets the biscuit. Then they could end up just dancing to each other's music while still competing. And then they could just start pulling silly faces afterward. And so it all ends because they were too busy competing and weren't looking at her. And the girl gets too entertained and eats it without realizing. Until eventually there's nothing left of the biscuit. In the end, neither of them get the cookie because she eats it while watching. And they both realize and just go home. I think they're just too addicted to biscuits.
The title of the story is The Magical Land in Nowhere. Once upon a time, there was a little boy. He had ripped clothes because he was doing lots of things, carrying bricks around, digging, and doing lots of stuff for the government. And his mom was in the government, and so was his sister. He didn't have a dad because his dad passed away. And one day he went to an old castle, which nobody's been there in years. And he found a door. He went inside, and there was magical things. There was volcanoes, which when they erupted flowers. There were lots of sailboats. There were lots of beaches. It was amazing and incredible. And every day he asked, could he go there? And his mom always said yes. So every day he went there, but one day the door disappeared. And he couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't go back to his magical land. He wondered why. And then he brought his sister, and the door was back. And then he showed his sister everything, and she was amazed. She didn't know what in the world was happening. And then the boy went there and lived. He called the land the Incredible Land. And then he told his mom about the land, and she told the government. And then lots of people knew there and decided to live there. And he became the ruler of that land. And then they lived happily ever after. End of story. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Victoria. One day, she thought she saw the sea bubbling. So she ran excitedly to tell her friends. Then they saw something rise out of the water. It was massive. It was red like blood. As it rose up, everyone looked on in awe and wonder. But a boy named Ollie looked on, and he knew what it was. He had been reading about Taniwha Auckland legends. Ollie and Victoria ran and fell onto the sand. So he helped Victoria up and said to her, we got to find a Taniwha.
They ran through the streets, by the playground, by the shops, by the big buildings, until they came to a mountain. They went to the top, climbed all around, they couldn't find anything. A hand snatched them out of nowhere. Then they saw another taniwha, and it said to them, "I will help you find the taniwha if you find me 4 pieces of lost treasure. They're scattered throughout Tāmaki. You will have to find them and bring them to me and put it together, and I will help." So they did as he said. They looked all through Auckland until there was a dairy. There was lots of chocolate bars. Then there was an ice cream thing. And she picked it up. She opened it. She ate it quite quickly. It was very good. On the top of the stick, there was a red glow. It was a piece. It was a red glowy treasure bit. And when you held it, you felt warmth and love through you. They thought about the sushi shop. And they saw a bit of sushi glowing. This time Ollie ate the sushi and he found the red glowy bit, so he put it in his pocket. And so it went on through the suburbs until they found another piece, and then they only had 1 bit left. Where could it be? They've searched everywhere in Auckland, high, low, and they hadn't searched the sea, so they went there and they saw a red shimmering scale on it. So Victoria said to it, "Do you have an owner? Can I pet you?" And well, Ollie snuck around the side and stole it. The taniwha roared with flames flickering in its mouth. Ollie and her ran until they reached the top of the mountain. And the taniwha came out. They said, "We found the treasure bits." And so they put it together, and it ended up to be a red glowing heart. And then the taniwha said, the other taniwha, "It can only be forced back by love. So you must say aroha to it, and it will go." And so they did that, and the taniwha went.